Hey, this is Notser, and this is Untitled. We're going to be talking about British destroyers. Where are the premiums? Jean Bart, Idle Friedrich, Alaska. And then finally, I want to touch on the Brennus. You might have run into the Brennus. It's the Tier 10 French cruiser under a different name. The Brennus is using the Henry plus that main battery reload consumable that you've heard about for Jean Bart. It appears that Wargaming like it a lot, because there has been data mined information on tier 7, 8, and 9 of the French cruiser branch that it looks like they're going to get this consumable. So I will touch on that. Game in the background is myself in the Grosse Kurfurst. We're on Sleeping Giant, and this was a fun game. So, British DDs. What can I say? I've tested it for a week, tried every tier, tried different builds, and I've come to the same conclusion as my initial impression. They're not fun for me. I don't enjoy camping behind islands. I certainly don't enjoy it being the dominant gameplay loop at this point. American heavy cruisers, American light cruisers, British light cruisers, the Japanese alternative DD branch, and then, of course, the British DD line. I don't need that. I already got that Wargaming. I was excited for the single launch torpedo system. How could Wargaming make use of this unique trait that only exists for the Brits and, of course, the Commonwealth, but you get the idea. Instead, you chose a completely different direction that I had no interest in going. And I shared my opinion. Now, you can disagree with that, that's great. I love that you have your own opinion. But for me personally, I have every single tier 10, every single ship. I don't need more of this gameplay loop. I wanted something different. The clunkiness of choosing widespread to couple with single launch is also just a weird choice. It's probably got 0.1% use case, and you stuck it on as the second option instead of narrow. I just don't understand that. You took away speed boost, which is, up until this line, has been a basic trait of every single DD in the game. It's equivalent to the heal that's been available to every single battleship in the game. Taking that away takes away the identity of the class, and it's really frustrating. It's incredibly frustrating to see that, and if we don't share our feedback, this is what we're going to get, and it's not what I want. So that was my week. Why didn't Wargaming release the premiums, Jean Bart, Idle Friedrich, Alaska, for CCs to test? I don't really know. It is a mystery to me. This is honestly the first time a patch is released with premiums teased that we didn't get access to them, and I think there's a reason for that. I think the reason is that Wargaming feels the British DDs need focused, exclusive feedback and testing. They are probably on the edge of not being 100% in on the design, and they want to see what the feedback is. Is it 50-50? Is it 80-20? Is it 20-80? Whatever it might be, Wargaming has gathered a lot of information. And I'm going to be completely honest, I knew exactly what I was getting into on my very first game in the Daring, very first game in the Jutland, and I hated it. You could see the warning signs there with the stats. It's just not gameplay for me. So I would have played one game in each one and moved on, played Jean Bart, Idle Friedrich, Alaska, been super excited for those. It probably worked out for Wargaming. They got way more testing on something that honestly needs more testing than those premiums. Having said all that, when are we going to get the premiums to test Wargaming? I'm going to assume that we're going to get it in this week, maybe next week. I can't imagine they're going to wait too long. I'm done testing them. I'm not playing the British DDs any longer. I know what they are. They're bad. But those premiums, a tier 9 Richelieu, in the form of Jean Bart, and I know the pronunciation isn't right, it's for humor. The Jean Bart getting the main battery reload consumable, that will be the first time that anyone outside of super testers and employees have tested this consumable that apparently is going to be coming in for a significant amount of French cruisers. So we better be comfortable with it because it looks like it's going in. And that's something that's cool, but it's just one part of the premium puzzle. We've got Alaska, 305mm guns, the super heavy AP shells of the Americans. It's going to be very fun to play. It's a giant cruiser. It's more like a battleship in size. I can't wait to play that. And then on top of that, the Idle Friedrich, the Tier 6 German battleship. Not like any other German battleship I've ever played. It looks great. I just want to play it. And my joy would have been so much higher if I was playing those premiums over the British DDs. I'm sorry, Brits. I love you guys and girls. You're wonderful. You deserve equipment that is as wonderful as your Navy history power. Why do they have to be quirky? The Brits weren't all quirky. They're not just making quirky equipment to be quirky. Their tactics, their equipment functioned adequately and above adequately for the naval aspect. They were superior to a lot of designs, and I just don't understand why. Why do you continuously design the Brits and their equipment to be so weird? We've got no HE on their light cruisers. We've got super heavy HE on their battleships and the super heel, and then of course the Brit DDs that are more like light cruisers than actual DDs. I just don't understand it. Now, on top of all that, I have run across a significant amount of super testers playing in the Tier 10 French cruiser, Henry IV, and the version that you might run across is known as Brennus. I think that's how you pronounce it. The Brennus is using that main battery reload consumable, and I am very impressed with what I've seen. Obviously, it's secondhand, but a significant amount of Brennus players are doing a ton of damage. They are lighting fires on targets where the fire is sticking for a significant amount of time, and they're playing very effectively at super long range, and I think that's great. Coupling that with the AP aspect too, this main battery reload consumable could reinvigorate my interest in playing French cruisers. I already am a little excited over the legendary module for the Henry. It improves the reload. Could you imagine that on top of this main battery reload consumable? Everything would come together and it would be something unique and something fun. And I just can't wait to get my hands on that as well. I don't know if or when I would ever get my hands on it. Maybe in 7.8 they will test the French cruisers with the reload on the public test server. Hopefully other players get access to that because it is a significant change. But I think it's a healthy one to make sure that French cruisers aren't forgotten. The speed boost is nice. It definitely allows you to cover a lot of distance and punish DDs that want to try and manipulate the situation. But I don't know that it's enough to bring people over away from all the radar ships. The radar is just so overbearing. Way too much radar. Way too much radar. And I can say it. Just because I play it doesn't mean I don't have the ability to share my opinion on it. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I don't know where this comes from. You are allowed to criticize and make use of. What do you think the entire existence of humanity has been? Do you think humans didn't make use of something that's less superior technology-wise or administratively? Like, come on. They're criticizing constantly, and they have their own opinions that they want to share, but clearly the system is large, and it takes time to implement these changes. I am really tired of the radar systems. I feel like they're overplayed, and I would really like it if they would move on. 1, 2, 3 at most. Not the 6 that I seem to get almost every game. Thank you very much. If this French cruiser causes players to shift over and play a couple French, well, guess what? That's great. I know a lot of players, honestly, skip the branch because they didn't see enough of an incentive. If they introduce this main battery reload, well, there certainly is going to be incentive to level through that, and that's going to be unfortunate for them if they didn't go through the leveling process. But for everyone else who has it, it's a new toy to play with. For free. Who's not going to like that? I'm super excited. It's improving a branch that already exists in the game. It's giving free content to those who already have it. What's not to like about that? I'd rather have them change the French cruiser line than introduce another cruiser line and have similar traits, but it has this, right? It's just super powercraft at that point. So I'm really looking forward to testing the French cruisers with those adjustments and, of course, those premiums. And I am looking forward to no longer having any reason to test these British DDs because it's not for me. Not for me. It might be the first DD branch that I don't scream up to tier 10. Because it's just going to be a slug. Boring, slow, not for me. Overall, though, I'm enjoying the Go Navy event. Go Sharks, of course. They're way better than Eagles. Obviously, good luck to everyone. I hope that you're enjoying it as well. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you next time.